Oh, my God.
Good morning, Mr. Burjo.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes with myself, Michael Berger, and Mark Novak. This morning, we're going to be talking about kids buying property in their super. Is it possible? I thought super was only for old people to access at retirement, but that's not the case, is it, Mark?
No, not at all. Not at all. Really exciting topic because I must admit, as a real estate agent, I have had zero exposure to buyers that are young, that are using their super as a deposit to buy a property. I reckon for some reason it's been kept really quiet and I can't work out why.
Yeah, I reckon it's more that unknown, and I reckon we'll put it this way: the people who I'm even guilty of it. Like I didn't really look at my super until sort of 6 months ago. It's just I think the generation that's just head down, bum up. A lot of people younger, they've had multiple jobs. They don't know where it is, how to get it. Like if I'm probably one of I'm guilty if I don't know as much or have been on it. How can anyone else really? And I'm in the industry, so. I think today is a good sort of segment for myself and really getting that message out to anyone probably under 30 should really be looking at this.
So just let's hit it straight between the eyeballs. If you have super, you are allowed to use that to buy your first home for first home buyers. No one like that is, and I know the government brought it in almost 3 years ago. It was in 2017. The government brought it in, but I haven't seen any marketing campaigns. I haven't seen any
2018, July 1, 2018.
Yeah, well, I know, right. So it was implemented but it was introduced
the talk of it. Yeah.
The introduction and stuff saying, here it comes, here it comes. But, the government's not turning around and saying, hey, guys, first-time buyers, by the way, I haven't seen television commercials, not on the back of a bus, not on a news channel, nowhere. Let's do some maths for people because we've been pretty good at maths the last couple of days. So I do say so myself. But okay, so I'm a first-time buyer, and I've seen a really nice one-bedroom unit for 550 grand.
Yep.
I do not have a deposit. I haven't saved. I've been naughty, but I'm earning a good income, and I'm a first-time buyer, so I qualify for the government grant, which means I pay no stamp duty, which is normally 20 grand. So I'm saving 20 grand straight away. So pretty much my establishment costs are getting close to zero. Now, according to this policy or this grant, this introduction.
Yeah. Do you want me to read it? Word for word?
Yeah, read it word for word. That's perfect.
And then we'll put it in like a working example. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Luke.
Hey, Luke.
Okay. So first home buyers can access up to $15,000 in their super contribution per year. Can access up to 15 per year, 30,000 in total per person. A couple buying a house could therefore use up to $60,000 in voluntary superannuation contribution. Now, I believe that's the key word, voluntary. So that's above and beyond your standard 9.5% that your employer pays into your super for you. So correct me if I'm wrong here, Mark, you're earning 100 grand a year, say 10%, make it round, 10 grand a year is the compulsory. The voluntary is the additional above that. So it's not you do nothing and you can use that 10 grand. It's a voluntary contribution, so above and beyond. Contribution saved over the 2-year period. The biggest benefit of the scheme is that you can earn a higher rate of return on your money in a super fund compared to a savings account, or savings are probably like 1% at the moment, if that, while paying lower taxes. So someone like 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, you could be paying 48 cents on the dollar tax. If you can lower that to 15%, that's huge. Just in itself to put in your super, now you can use it to buy a property. So if there wasn't a big enough incentive prior to the being able to buy a property in it for first homeowners in tax. Now you've got the ability to buy it for a property in it. So it's almost like the best kept secret. I think a lot of these policy comes out, it's fucking awesome, is what my understanding of it is, and no one knows about it.
So, okay, pretend you're a first home buyer. You just found out about this. How do you change how's that change your life, and what are you going to now do? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever I go to save money, it's after tax money.
Yep.
And this is bringing it to before tax money underneath that. So you can actually, that's pretty massive, because you can start farming some money into your account at a super low, or I may even be no tax, I'm not sure, at a super low tax rate. And then you can use that puppy. You can put in 30 grand, your partner can put 30 grand, and you can buy your first home, and you can use so you're actually effectively saving your money much faster, because you're paying a super low or zero tax rate. I've got to clarify more on this and read a little bit more on it, but it seemed like it's eh?
Yeah, it's like for someone to take action today, they would have two options, wouldn't they, Mark? So someone maybe like a real estate agent who gets paid quarterly, next com check of 10, 20, 50, whatever it is, 1,000, they could then go to their employer to say, dump that all in my super. Yep. Or someone who may be earning more on a salary, on whatever the salary is, goes to the employer. Instead of putting the 9.5%, can you put 20% in before it even gets to them? Is that how you could? That would probably be the easiest way for your increased voluntary contribution, wouldn't it? It would be a conversation with your employer.
Yeah, spot on. So what I reckon is, you see, and let's use the real estate industry because we're in it. I'm going to I've been very fortunate to earn a commission check. I'm 21 years of age. I've been working really hard. I've earned a commission check of $20,000. Now, normally in that environment, your employer will go along and say, well done. We by law have to charge you 40% of that. We're giving to the government. We're calling it tax. 60% of that we're giving to you. Whereas you can actually turn around and say, hey, that 20 grand check, I'll take 5 and pay normal tax on it. But that 15, can you slam that into my super at a super low or no tax rate, slam it in there, and I'm going to pull it out for my deposit next year when I've got 30 in there. So you do that for 2 cycles, or you could actually, you don't have to wait a whole year. You could do it just pre-30 June, and then you could do it just after 30 June. Hey, presto, there's your 30. And then, hey, presto, there's your deposit ready to go, and you've paid jack shit low tax rate on it.
Yeah, it's pretty. I'm just having a look. Luke's comments. Only 10,000 people get the grant. Would that be? Does that mean it's only capped at 10,000, Luke? Is that what you mean? It's not available to everyone, or the first 10,000 in best, first in best dress?
Yeah, we'll clarify that and put it in the comments later if Luke doesn't beat us to it, you legend.
Yep.
It's very, very interesting, guys. So if anyone's watching this that's got a friend that's been talking about buying a property that's struggling with getting a deposit, this is a hack. This is a cheat that no one knows about.
Yep.
To save faster, to pay less tax, to invest smarter your money. I think it's absolutely genius.
So Luke's put in, these policies will inflate the market. I guess they want to see more people buy some unwanted units. Well, it's about, put it this way, if we're all backing capital growth as well, it's also allowing people younger to buy property that earlier. So we all know the chain reaction of buying property where, what was that? If $1 spent in property is like $4, it's like times 4. Lawyers, conveyancers, valuers, it's got that chain reaction.
It's supporting a massive economy if you're supporting a property economy. Huge.
So it's otherwise the money's just because it's just sitting in the super fund being used by other parties. So
Yeah,
it's
the stockbrokers are getting their hands on it. And you know another thing, Michael, I love teaching good disciplines early. I
yeah,
love teaching good disciplines early. And the reason why is the government's teaching these people that are, 20, 25, a really good discipline of regularly paying a mortgage,
yeah,
of putting a roof over their own head. And when you teach, much like alcohol companies and much like cigarette companies, if you start that pattern young enough, people will stick to that beer the rest of their life. They will stick to that scotch the rest of their life because they got into it as a pattern early. And first home buyers are a massive part of our economy and an absolute necessity to be doing stuff like this. I think it's genius.
yeah, 100%. And as Luke said, forced savings. Like I think we can all agree, if you've if you're given not given, if you've worked and earned 20 grand and you got it in your savings account, it's more likely to be spent frivolously than if it's in your super. Just like we
Yes,
said yesterday between
yes,
Resi,
Michael. Yes, Michael. That's correct. You've said it very well.
yeah, just like the difference between probably very guilty of it. That's why Mark's laughing. It's
Evil.
like the difference between residential being commercial property. Your commercial property is giving you that extra rent per week. It's in your account. You got to be very disciplined. Residential, sort of that force. So this policy allows you to, well, one, you've got to initiate it. So you got to have that discipline to say, I want the money, but I don't want it now. I want it to work for me. I want it to increase in value. I want to put it away and use it towards something good. And it's one of those things. Once the money, it's like a term deposit. Once it's in there, you can't really get it out. But if you just, as we all know, if you put it in your savings, you got your spending account, you go, no, I'll put it in my savings account, which we all know you can just transfer with the click of a button. It's not really forced. But with the super, you can only get it out if you're buying it for a property. And I think, Luke, you understand, it's all about getting good debt. So buying property, getting that mortgage.
Yeah, healthy disciplines. Michael, would you be able to whack into the link that you're reading into the comments for our users?
100%. So this is here. It's in there for everyone.
And guys, you can always Google it to find out a little bit more. Government offers a little bit of information. But look, today's really about just giving you a whiff, a sniff, a leg up, a tip, a hack to share with your friends and families that are first home buyers to say, guys, I know you're trying to save a deposit. Here's something really clever that I heard the other day. So just include people in. Now, two things. Are there any questions from our viewers?
I'll see if they come through. But even like put it this way, within 2 years, let's just say you're earning or just say you're a couple, you got 200 grand income. Let's say you're getting taxed 40%. By lowering that by, 5 to 15, so that's 25%. So 10% on 200 is 20 grand. That's 45,000 base a year. Over 2 years is 85. Just the difference between putting it in the super fund and getting taxed less, you're getting a deposit. So it's not even about earning more or doing some earning more or getting taxed less. It's just restructuring it to allow money to get a deposit. So basically, you could buy a deposit. You could have a deposit with the income you earn without really earning more money. It's just being a bit, this policy incentivizes it. Smarter, thinking differently. So you may be earning enough to do it, but with the 40% tax compared to 15, that difference alone, that little shift in what you do weekly, monthly, or whenever you get paid, maybe allow you to buy a property in less than 2 years.
And it's a bit of an elephant in the room. This first home buyer grant for first home buyers has been out around a fairly long time now. And if you talk to any of these first home buyers that have not purchased, the big bugbear, the big beef is, I can't save a deposit, or it's taking me a long time, or by the time I save a deposit, the property's gone up even more. This is actually tackling the problem directly and using money that they've actually got in their account, paying less tax that they're paying per year. Is genius, and no one's doing it.
Just see if there's a maximum, because I think it was a maximum over 2 years, but up to...
Yes, it was 30 grand per person maximum, and it was 60 grand per for a couple, and that's genius. That's more than enough of a deposit for a first home for most parts of Sydney. You know,
so
it's
it wouldn't
a
be... So this would be a question as well, if anyone knows, are you buying it in your super fund, or are you buying it in a personal name? They're just giving you the cash.
You can do both. You can do both. When I was reading up on it, it doesn't have to be a self-managed super that you're running. You can do it from your super fund, to my understanding.
Yeah.
But that link that I was educating myself on has been provided there, so people don't. Really, this is not financial advice, but it's just giving you guys a little bit of a heads up of a bit of wind that we get in the industry, and we're giving it to you guys.
The reason I ask, because it gives the people allowed to basically do the math. So if you got 60 grand deposit, you go for an 80% loan, there's your purchase price to be looking at. You may say, I want something a little bit better. Well, let's do it with a couple. We got 30 grand, I think, 60 grand for one person. Is it maximum 120 each over 2 years, or is it max 60 over 2 years for people? But
I believe max 60 over 2 years. But you know what? It just forms up. And I think the government didn't want to do such a massive steroid hit. You know, everyone who goes out buying properties, they're super. But I think they just want to give everyone a bit of a tap on the bum and help them along.
100%.
Or tap on the shoulder, whatever's appropriate to say. Just or pat on the back. Just to kick up the arse. Just to get them going along a little bit. You know, so a karate chop. But look, what great news. So guys, hopefully this has helped you. And we've got any questions?
No, not at the moment, but if anything comes through, private message. The last 3 mornings have all been topics from our lovely audience. So if you want us to talk about anything controversial, anything, we love to talk. So
we've been inspired on these last 3 by our viewers, so that's awesome. And a lot of people private messaging us that we're helping out. Thank you, and calls and stuff like that. Thank you for your support. I'm glad that we can help. Sometimes you wonder when you're doing these pieces, is there anyone? Does anyone care? And it's great that people do. We really appreciate the support.
I appreciate it. But anyway, we'll be back Thursday. If anyone's got any questions, thanks for tuning in. We'll have it on podcast, YouTube. It's everywhere, anywhere.
And if you can support us by sharing it or including a friend in your comments, that's even great. But it's been big, Michael. There's been bye. All right, that's a goodbye. Bye.